Hello and welcome one and all, I am Old School Gamer 1971, a special shout out to Moomin and Pro Predator 49XX. Hope you're all having a great day and are staying safe. Today's subject matter is Third Hour Thoughts, Resident Evil Village. Before we begin, if you enjoy the video, give it a big thumbs up, like, and if it pleases you, check out my channel and subscribe. So without further ado,
Fast as the girl ran on, over vine and under branch, and into the forest deep. Feeling strange eyes upon her, the girl recalled Mother's scary bedtime tales, and her throat...
Resident Evil Village is a first-person survival horror game developed by Capcom that released for the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 in 2021. It's the latest in the main game series of Resident Evil, and whilst it was not the original survival horror, Resident Evil was instrumental in bringing the genre into the spotlight. You could tell that this was AAA right from the first demo, and even though Clock Tower and Alone in the Dark released before Resident Evil, this is the only surviving series out of the three. This is the second game with Ethan Winters as the main character. The Resident Evil 7 game was seen as a return to form by many, me included. So let's see what the 8th game in the series brings to the table. Capcom are one of my favourite Japanese developers from both arcade and console alike. Capcom were established in 1979 as an arcade game manufacturer. Nowadays having offices in Japan, North America, Taiwan, Asia and Europe, they certainly have grown. Having played many of their games over the years, I was happy to hear that their arcade stadium that released for the Switch is getting a release this summer, with Street Fighter, Devil May Cry, Ghosts and Goblins and Resident Evil series in their back catalogue, but also having released sequels to these games recently. They know what brought them to the table and are not afraid to release something new. Konami, please take note. Set 3 years after the 7th entry, you play as Ethan Winters, the protagonist from the 7th entry. They escape to Europe. Ethan is living with Mia and baby Rosemary. Chris turns up, murders Mia and abducts both Rosemary and Ethan. Ethan passes out, awakening next to a crashed truck. It is night time and blindly makes his way to a village, and so begins Ethan's journey to save baby Rosemary and to find out why Mia was murdered and why Rosemary and himself were abducted. After meeting the bosses in the game, he soon finds Lady Dimitrescu and her 3 daughters in her castle, and yes, I am avoiding naming the others. They promoted Dimitrescu as the big bad, and unfortunately she is not. So is this Resident Evil Village, or is it Resident Livid Silage? They really have the combat and control mapping down here. The guns feel weighty, but not overpowered. At the same time, the game is not too quick, so combat is never over too quickly. You feel that you do have a fight on your hands, even when it's the lowest level enemies. Another thing of note is the game does feel a little too on the rails at times. This is quite bad. With a bit of freedom, I do feel the game could have been even better. On the other hand, whilst on the rails does mean the game moves along faster, as you are not scratching everywhere for items. Speaking of items, you will spend a fair amount of time crafting. Most of your ammo and healing products will be crafted. Fortunately, the peons drop a lot of stuff for you to craft everything with. I will give you a tip, do not buy ammo, it is overpriced. There is much better stuff for you to buy. There is some stuff new and stuff from earlier in the series. It all comes together to make this game interesting. The RE engine really looks impressive here. Between the ray tracing and solid frame rate, you can tell that this is a PlayStation 5 game. Yes, it is playable on PlayStation 4, but feel Capcom did a good job here. It does look and feel next gen, and the fact you get both versions for the one price is also cool. Not even the new £70 price point. Characters top to bottom are well designed, even if some of the enemies are on screen more than others. It is cool and we get lichen-like creatures instead of the ambling undead. Yes, we still get undead-like creatures, but they are well armed. This is a fantastic looking game. In places, this is the best looking game so far for new gen consoles. One to put on when you want to impress. The sound is no slouch neither. For me, the guns sound meaty enough, and when it hits me, it sounds gruesomely great. As per usual, you have a little music to set the scene. This works well and certainly it fits the game very well. Now how about the only negative in the game, the voiceover? Now I do not mean how it is acted. What I mean is the script. It just doesn't work and it doesn't fit in with how characters have been portrayed before. We are at times being told to feel something for characters, when in previous entries the only thing we felt was us being hit by the goddamn guard dogs and headphones. It is next level, and I will say that any fan has to experience this game at least once with 3D audio. My time with Resident Evil Village was never going to be enough. For any fan of the 7th entry into the series itself, this is a great game. As far as the mechanics go, this is a great game. New stuff works well and certainly fits in with the rest of the game. If there was one thing that doesn't fit, I would say that sometimes it spends too long trying to be The Last of Us. Do not get me wrong, this is the game to try to pull it off if you can, but it doesn't quite manage it. We have spent God knows how many Resident Evil entries with cardboard cutout characters and jump scares aplenty. Having these characters trying to do emotion on the 8th main game entry feels unlike them and very disjointed. Of course, I will be going back to this as it is a damn fine game. So Resident Evil Village, this most definitely is and earns itself a solid 9.3 out of 10. I'm off to make the tall lady my bitch. And it is done. If you found this video interesting or have any suggestions, please comment down below, as it will put a big old smile on this old face. Let's get the conversation started. I will answer you all. I post new content every week. Have a great day one and all, and thank you for your support. This has been Old School Gamer 1971, signing off.